Good morning, friends. Today is a stay-at-home, work-from-home, remote work day for me, so I might just stay in my pajamas all day. I love these days because my children flow in and out of my office. They flow in and out of my life. While I'm getting my work done, they flow in and out of my lap, and they are just beautiful, wonderful. They're productive days, and they are great, wonderful family days as well. So I love my remote work days. Today I want to celebrate how much motherhood rocks, and I want to share a story with you that I dug out of my journal and my memories of motherhood. I was thinking about this story as I went to bed last night because I had one of these rockin' mom moments with my daughter yesterday. She's learning how to drive, and we had some hilarious laughing moments helping her learn how to drive. And then we just had some really great long heart-to-heart conversation last night about her concerns and challenges. It was just one of those beautiful mama moments. Okay, I'm gonna have to work really hard to get through this whole Instagram and Facebook Live today without crying because I'm talking about how much motherhood rocks, which is one of those tender topics for me. So wish me luck. So I was reminded last night about this day I recorded from when I think Abby was 3, and it didn't seem like a day that was so great. One of those really difficult motherhood days. I'm going to share it with you, and maybe some of you mama friends can relate. I put it into this there's this book I collected of stories for my children. Okay, this is, I call it My Mom Rocks. You'll see why. So a few weeks ago I had a really wretched day of motherhood. I had been hit, kicked, spit on, noses wiped on my shoulder, told that I'm mean, the worst mom in the world, actually. I cleaned up half a tube of toothpaste smeared all over body parts, wiped up pee and poop, swept up a full container of hot chocolate powder, dumped on the floor, and then used as an indoor sandbox. After sweeping it into a pile and just leaving the room for a second to get the dustpan, they again got into it and redistributed it all over the floor. Unreal. I bathed mud-covered children who had unhooked the sprinklers that I had strategically placed to repair dead and yellow lawn spots. They unhooked the sprinklers to create mud holes where mud holes should not be. Then I took all 4 of the kids to nursery at church while I attended a women's program. And at the end, I had to chase them down the hallways, trying to catch all of the blue frosting that they were dropping all around the carpet at the church, despite my repeated demands that they sit and eat or hand over the treats. By the time we got home, I was not feeling the joy of motherhood. I was feeling battered, beaten, broken, abused, exhausted, discouraged. Have you ever felt this way? Can you relate? Then one of those moments occurred that washes away the pains of a hard day of parenting and returns my mother heart to peace and love, and reminds me of the greater perspective of what we are trying to achieve as mothers. After nursing my baby, brushing everyone's teeth, saying our family prayer, I tucked everyone into their beds, and I sat down on the stairs between the 2 kids' bedrooms, and I began our children's hour routine. This relaxes me as much as it does the children. After the last story, Abby came over to me and asked if I would rock her like a baby, and she could wear her rocking shirt until she falls asleep. I dismissed the idea and told her to get back into bed. It was too late, but she persisted. And after saying goodnight to the boys, I turned again to Abby because she had come back to me again a second time. She had retrieved her shirt this time, her rocking shirt, and she brought it to me. She'd been given a shirt from Brigham's parents that says, "My mom rocks." I have to show you this shirt. I kept it. I kept it. You ever keep these little treasures? My mom rocks. So she brought me this t-shirt. I realized in that moment, as she stood there in nothing but her underwear, holding up her rocking shirt for me to see, that she understood this phrase to mean that her mom holds and rocks her. Oh, sorry, squeaky voice. My heart collapsed, and with an intense outpouring of love for this sweet 4-year-old girl and her plea to be held, rocked, and loved, my horrible, terrible day flashed before me, but it was immediately washed away by this one moment of intense love. So I helped her pull the rocking shirt over her messy end of day, tangled up ponytails. I scooped her up in my arms. We sat down together in my great Grandma May's rocking chair and began to slowly rock in the same chair that had rocked generations of children before Abby. We rocked and we rocked and we rocked. And I stroked Abby's hair, and I soaked in the joy of motherhood, and I reflected on Abby's simple interpretation of my mom rocks. And, oh, thanks for the love, all the smiles, and reevaluated my role as a mother. Okay, there's the story. So I wanted to talk today about what it means to be a mom who rocks. So I've got a visual for you. You're familiar with, I think maybe you might be familiar with this image of a jar, and that you need to fill it with rocks and with sand. And if you put the rocks in first, the things that are most critical, most important, let's say in motherhood and family life, then you'll be able to fit the sand all around, and it will all fit and it will all work out. But if the sand gets in first, the less important the tiny things, and then you try and put in all of the rocks, they won't all fit. And so I want you to keep that image in mind as well as we talk this morning about what it means to be a mom who rocks. I think a mom who rocks puts the largest rocks into this jar of life first. Mom who rocks pauses to connect with her children. But a mom who rocks, we've also got to do the sweeping up and the cleaning and the bathing of mud-soaked children and the scrubbing of the toothpaste. We got to do all that too. Mom who rocks is persistent, courageous, hardworking, but is also patient, loving, kind, centered, and intentional. Somehow we've got to master both. I think that you are a mom who rocks. I can see Sandy with us today, and Liesel, good morning. You must be a mom who rocks if you're showing up here on the Facebook Lives. I'm guessing that you love motherhood as much as I do, and you probably don't care about my squeaky voice. Because we love motherhood so much. That's what it means to be a mom who rocks. You are a mom who rocks because you keep showing up for your family. I should not have read a story about this because it makes me cry. You are a mom who rocks because you make sacrifices every single day for your family. I think that you are a mom who rocks because you keep thinking about how to improve. You keep thinking about how to improve and make yourself better, how to make your family better, how to help your children be the best version of themselves every single day. Okay, here's my challenge for you. In thinking about how to be a mom who rocks, I want you to consider, what do you need to do the heavy lifting to get those rocks into your jar, to make sure that you are in a place and you are freed up so that you can make lots of space in life for those connection moments. So I made a little list of 10 for me, and I would encourage you to do the same. Do your mental list, get out a post-it note, get out your phone and type out your list if you haven't already considered this. What are the things that you need to make sure are in the jar of your life so that you can show up and rock your children and be rocking motherhood? Here's the 10 that I came up with. If these things are in place, or mostly in place, or at least I'm making effort to put these things in place, then I feel like I have space in my brain, in my mind, in my heart to show up and rock motherhood and be a mother who rocks and connects with my children. You know, some of these, they take different orders in life at different times, and sometimes even these things you just have to set aside temporarily and connect with your children and be a mom who rocks, literally and figuratively. So here's my 10 that I thought of as my mama rocks. The most important ones to put in place for me so that I can show up and be present for my children. Number 1 for me is my personal, spiritual, daily routines, to be centered with God, aligned with Him, and to have that light streaming into me from the heavens. Number 2 is to have our family habits in place. My 2 most important ones that I'm trying to focus on every day is bookending our day with great meals, great connection, great habits at breakfast and at dinner. We try and gather every morning for a morning devotional to be together at breakfast, and we try and gather it each day as Brigham and I arrive home from work at 6:15 to gather for our dinner meal and talk about our day and do thorns and roses and connect there with our children. Those bookend days are critical, are for me. Number 3 is my physical health. If I'm not showing up well and taking care of my own health, and specifically for me, nutrition, I'm not at my best self to be showing up in the best way for my children. I've discovered that for me, my own nutrition and taking care of myself, my body, really impacts my mind and my spirit. I think of it as my keystone habit. Do you know what your keystone habit is? Your number 1 habit that impacts all the others. Think of an arch. Think of an archway built of all of the habits in your life, whether they're your personal habits, your family habits, your habits with your spouse, your habits in your work. What do you think is the number 1 keystone habit? A keystone at the top of the arch that holds the rest of the arch up? What do you think is the number 1 for you? Think about that and really put that as a priority and an emphasis in your day. For me, it's nutrition. If I'm eating the way I know I should be eating, it impacts all of the other things, and I can show up in a better way to knock out all of my other habits. Number 4 is delegation and family systems. I can't do everything on my own, and so I have to be a master of asking for help from my husband, asking for help from my children, asking for help from my assistant and house helpers. I need a lot of help. But in order for that help to be effective, I need to be a master delegator and manager and make sure that the systems are happening and in place and checking in on them. So delegation and family systems are one of my rocks. I've got to have that in place or things just start crumbling and falling apart. Number 5 is my morning routine. I have quite a list of things I like to knock out in the morning and make sure that they get done. And if I am regular and devoted and true to my morning routine, then I have knocked out quite a few things before the day even gets moving, and that helps other things to be in place. It helps me to feel centered, calm, and at peace, and that if things don't go quite right during the day, I can still show up and be happy and okay. And number 6, to-do lists. This just helps me to keep all of the data, all of the things coming in and out of my brain and my life from the 3 businesses and the 8 kids and all of the stuff and things that we have running in and out of our lives. I've got to write it all down. My favorite thing to use for prioritizing and keeping these to-do lists is Trello. You know that tool? It's amazing. It's an app you can download, Trello. I love to-do lists because I can get it out of my brain, put it somewhere else, and then I can prioritize it. I love Trello because you can drag and drop things that are on your list or on your list of lists or on your list of lists. You can drag and drop them to prioritize them. So I need to get it out of my brain onto the list in priority order so that I can know exactly what has to be done, so that I can choose to delay or not delay the other things, so that I can have the opportunity to have a space for connection, showing up, being a mom who rocks. And if I don't get them out of my brain onto that list, then there's just this massive collection of clutter in my brain emotionally telling me that it all has to be done right now. It all has to be done right now or the whole world's going to explode and collapse. So for me, organized to-do lists that lead to prioritization are super helpful. Number 7 is some alone time. With lots of people in our home, there's 10 of us, plus other friends and helpers who come and go. There is just a lot of people in my life, plus all of my team members whom I love. I have an amazing team, I have an amazing family, but I also really love to be alone, just a little bit sometimes. And that alone time, finding a tiny bit of it, and usually that means waking up early to find a little bit of alone time before everyone else arises. That alone time just is so rejuvenating. It quiets my mind, it quiets my life, it quiets my spirit. Maybe you don't need alone time. You got to make your own list. This is the Karmel list. This is the Karmel list of 10 rocks that help me to be solid and show up for my family by knowing what my needs are, making sure those are met and taken care of, so that I can be a better mother, wife, and support to my family. Number 8 is husband connection. I need husband connection time. We love going on dates. Sometimes we take multiple dates a week. We're getting so good at dating each other. I need a lot of talk time. I got a lot of words that I need to get in with my husband to be connected with him, feel his support, make sure we're on the same page. And when that breaks down, a lot of things break down. So I have to be very careful that we together make sure that we're having our spouse connection time. Number 9 for me is kind of a mashup. I put gratitude, perspective, and purpose because for me they all go together. I have to, and this is helpful for me. It's a rock of mine because it's what I go to when I forget to put everything on my to-do list and prioritize, or it's when my brain gets so cluttered and I feel like there's too much to do and I can't do it and the weight of the world is on my shoulders. Are you ever there? You ever feel those moments? Well, in those moments when it's like, it's too much, I just can't do it all. I have to remind myself to go to having a perspective from, I visualize like going up to a 50,000 foot high perspective and seeing things from far away. You gotta have some distance from it, rather than just being in this minute, in this moment, and it all seems impossible. And then from that pulled back perspective, I can focus on gratitude, remind myself, what's my purpose? What's my purpose as a mother? What's my purpose as in my work that I'm doing? What's my purpose in this marriage? What is my purpose in this moment? And be grateful for it. Focus on gratitude. It gives me perspective to just pull back, understand what's happening, and not let my mind go into that chaotic spiral. So remembering my purpose by having perspective and focusing on gratitude. What do you call all that? Mindset? Maybe I could summarize all of that by having a powerful mindset. And number 10 is not a very fun one, but I think it's a real one for me, and I think for a lot of others. It's finances, it's money. It's gotta be solid and taken care of. Or I put in parentheses here, at least to the best of my ability to support. So I have to know that I'm doing my best to do all that I can to make sure that finances are solid and okay, supporting my husband in his role as provider, doing my best to help provide for the family as well in any ways that I can, or in saving money and reviewing financials and adjusting finances if needed, doing whatever is required so that I know that I've done my part to contribute to the financial well-being of our family, whatever that looks like for that month, so that then I can pull back and just let it go. Let it go. Whatever happens, whatever we end up with at the end of the month, I will be at peace with. But I can only be at peace with that and work with that if I know I've done my part. I've done everything possible to support, to help, to organize, to be wise, to prepare. So finances are one of my rocks. I've got to do everything possible to make sure that rock is solid in the jar, because there are so many implications of finances for a family. So those are my 10. I would encourage you to consider do a 5-minute exercise to pencil out what are your 10. What are your 10 rocks that have got to be in that jar so that you can free yourself up to really show up for your children. And of course, I think while I'm doing these 10, it's a flow, right? They all flow together, but symbolically, what are the areas where you need to focus most so that you can be freed up to connect with your children, bond with them, show up for them, be present for your family, not just your children, but for your husband. And be a mama who rocks. Be a wife that rocks. It's messy. It's messy, motherhood. All of the toothpaste and the mud and the messes and the sweeping and the dishes and the diapers. It is messy, but it is so meaningful. It is magnificent. Motherhood is our greatest gift. It is our greatest gift, our families. Motherhood rocks. And you, my mama friends, you are absolutely rocking it. I hope that you will take time in your day-to-day to be a mom who rocks, and that you get moments of connection with your children, and that it will heal and soothe your heart. If you're carrying a heavy load of rocks and you feel like rather than the rocks just being dropped into your jar of life, if you feel like the rocks are just being hurled at you and you're being stoned, I hope that you'll find a moment in your day to feel some sort of healing from connecting. Sorry, squeaky voice. From connecting with your children, because they're the reason, and they will make it better. They will make it better if we remember to focus on it. Okay, now I'm crying again, so I gotta go. Have a wonderful day, moms. You rock.